What's up, Internet? My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
We get Nerdy Nightly.
And we thought we'd share it with you.
Also, side note, if you haven't seen Snake Eyes...
Spoilers.
This is a spoiler chat, but also... yeah.
Doesn't matter.
That is right. Welcome back to the spoiler chat for Snake Eyes. Sorry, let me get it right. Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins. And for the second time that a studio has put in a prequel with the word Origins in it, it is once again a bad movie.
It's bad.
With bad CGI again. It's the same. We're doing this again. This is Wolverine, X-Men Origins Wolverine all over again. Except I would argue that movie has a better plot than this one. This is a better movie than that one, but that movie has a better plot.
All right. Yeah, this movie is bad. If you're here, it means you've most likely seen the movie, so you already know what we're talking about.
You know that at the beginning of the movie, we meet Henry Golding's Snake Eyes. I want to call him by a name, but we'd never get one. He is working in a fish market. He's also in an underground fight ring where he gets noticed by the Yakuza, which is the Japanese mafia, essentially. They are notorious in real life. Don't mess with the Yakuza. I was told that many times when I was working in Japan. Don't do it. And I was like, okay, I'm not going to.
I wasn't planning on it.
I've never messed with organized crime before. I don't know why I would just start now because I'm in a different country. But they hire him. We meet the head of the store of the Yakuza, Kenta. And he wants Snake Eyes to help him get not Storm Shadow yet, Tommy, onto a boat so that they can kill him. But it's a ruse. They need they need him to get on the boat to kill him instead of just killing him. But then they have him save his life so that he can get into the Arashikage, right? So that they can get the stone. But there's this weird problem where Kenta should know how all of this works because he was a member of this clan.
Yep, like he was there for
He was the other heir apparent.
Yeah. And
he's like, he doesn't give Snake Eyes any help.
No,
he's not like, this is how you're going to do it. This is what the tests are. Here's the lies that you need to tell. He gives him like the one line about honor to get in. And then Henry Golding's like, my favorite part of this movie is the number of time Henry Golding gets on a motorcycle, leaves the compound, drives to Kenta's like, I didn't sign up for this shit. And then he's like, we'll do it anyway. And he's like, fine.
Yeah, like, God, like, this guy is so set on revenge. First of all, our main character sucks. We talked about this in the non-spoiler chat. It is really hard to root for a main character who is a shitty person and you don't like. Like, Snake Eyes is awful.
If the point where you are talking to someone and they're like, yeah, you're working for terrorists who murder children, if that is not the point where you're like, oh, I'm doing the bad thing, if that is not the point where you turn around, because it isn't the point where he turns around, he's like, all right, I'm still going to do it. I don't like it, but I'm going to do it. But if the point where they're like, yeah, so the woman that you're working for, she's an international terrorist who just murders people.
Well, and
I was like, okay, this is the moment Snake Eyes turns around. He's going to drive back. He's going to be honorable. He's going to let them know. No, he's still bad. He's a bad person.
So set on revenge. Here's the thing. Sometimes you can have characters make bad choices and then redeem themselves because someone that they're close to is in danger or they're trying to save somebody. Nope. Snake Eyes is so vengeful. Yeah. His father died like 20 years ago and he is hell-bent on finding his killer however many years later. I don't know if it's 20, but it's probably something like that.
Yeah.
Like, it's, it's a large span of time. And Snake Eyes is willing to help terrorists find this, like, crazy unstoppable weapon and like throw the world into chaos and anarchy and power struggles and just no problem with it. He's like, oh yeah, it's not what I signed up for, but
I really want to kill that guy.
Okay, fine, okay. And I'm like, all right, you need to, bro, like you need a therapist.
And it's not like, and like we said in the non-spoiler chat, if you watch that one, like, it's not that like Henry Golding isn't a good Snake Eyes. Obviously, we should acknowledge, like, there was a lot of backlash against his casting because he is Asian. or he's half Asian, and the original Snake Eyes is a blonde-haired, blue-eyed ninja. Because when Snake Eyes was created, it was a time period where you couldn't tell stories about people of color unless it was like the one black person in your comic book. And so Snake Eyes is a Asian coded character who was drawn white because it was the time.
Yeah.
And we're at a point now where like those characters that are so heavily coded in other cultures, if we're going to keep portraying them in our media, they should be portrayed by people of those cultures. And I firmly believe that. And I think that Henry Golding is good casting of the character of Snake Eyes.
Yeah, he was great.
I just happen to also think that the writing of the character of Snake Eyes in this movie was really bad.
Like, terrible.
And it makes him the villain throughout the entire... Like, every bad thing that happens in this movie is 100% his fault.
Yep.
No one else is. There is no one else at fault except our protagonist.
And he is never redeemed.
He doesn't do anything to earn redemption.
No, he is not redeemed in the slightest. You still don't like him by the end of the movie. Because this is like kind of like jumping ahead, but I think like talking about this arc as a whole is really important because it's so bad. But Snake Eyes is hellbent on revenge. Does terrible things, like it lies to all these people to get in with them. He
gaslights this woman for 2 hours, and I was like, oh god.
It's like, man, pity me, man.
What?
God,
sorry, what was her name?
So cringy.
Akiko. Akiko is right the entire time.
Yeah,
and he just gaslights her.
Yeah. Oh god, it's so weird to watch. Ugh, I hated it.
Yeah, well, it makes him a shitty dude.
He is a shitty dude, and that's the thing is he is a shitty dude from beginning to end. He eventually steals the fucking magic sunstone or whatever it is, with the power to annihilate anything you can think about. Magic. I love that.
We have to set up one thing first. I know where you're going, but let's set up one thing first. There's 3 trials. The first trial, you have to get the cup by asking nicely. I'm sure that's going to help you be a ninja. Yeah. The second trial is not a trial. It's not a challenge. You just have to watch a vision of your life.
You basically do acid.
I don't know what the challenge is, but it's supposed to reveal something for the third challenge, which is to get dropped into a pit of snakes.
Giant snakes.
Of giant anacondas.
Like basilisk snakes.
This movie is very obsessed with the iconography of Harry Potter. Like, the Sunstone is literally the Philosopher's Stone. It looks like the Philosopher's Stone.
Yeah, and the Basilisk, although the Basilisk looked better in Chamber of Secrets.
It was just more interesting. These were boring.
Yeah.
So you have to go down into the pit of snakes, and you have to... the giant anacondas can tell if a person is pure of heart.
They're magic
snakes. And so if you want to be a ninja... You have to have the scent or pheromone of a pure heart so that the snakes don't murder you.
Yeah.
And this is important for what you're about to bring up because it's magic.
It's magic.
It's straight up magic.
And Snake Eyes fails. He fails and is only saved by...
Akiko doing... she doesn't want him there, but then he tells her that his dad died, so she's like, well, I'm going to kick the snake in the face for you.
Yeah, so he survives when he should have technically died in this third trial, right?
Yeah.
And so, we see in his second trial that obviously it's his father's death that is weighing on him and holding him back and keeping him down, whatever. So he steals the stone. He manipulates Tommy. He, makes a, blood pact with him so he can get his blood to, enter the, DNA vault with the stone. Which I was like...
Yeah, and Tommy, goes into a blood pact with him immediately after he's been kind of banished.
Yeah, they were no, you need to leave, and Tommy is still convinced that he's a good guy. And so he delivers the stone to the bad guys. It's like, here you go. And they're like, great, here's the person who killed your dad. And he goes in and, talks to him, is about to kill him, and finds out that this guy was working for Cobra and killed his dad on the orders of the people who he just gave the stone to, basically.
Yeah.
Is what happened. And so you're like, oh, okay.
Shocker. Cobra's bad.
Cobra's bad.
The terrorist organization that you have willingly been working for ain't great. Shocker.
Yeah, so he spares this guy's life.
And is like, I'm going to be a good guy now.
Yeah. He's a good guy for 2 seconds. Right. And you know, when this happens, you think that his arc is going to be he's going to let go of his want for revenge. He's going to go back and right his wrongs.
Yeah.
And blah blah blah. No, that doesn't happen. Who's the main villain guy?
Kenta.
Kenta, that's his name.
Yeah.
So yeah, he goes back after Kenta literally lights the whole clan like housing on fire
with magic.
With magic.
With literal magic.
Yeah, finds Kenta and like hunts him down and drags him into the pit of snakes and has him murdered by snakes. Which
I think what you're trying to set up here is that what the movie fails at is completing Snake Eyes' arc.
It gives him no redemption. It gives him no arc. He does not change from beginning to end. He's still hellbent on revenge, and then he gets that revenge.
And then the snakes are like, you're pure of heart now because you had us eat someone.
And then the snakes are like, oh no, you're cool, bro.
It's cool. Just it's so unsatisfying because he never is a good guy.
Never.
He goes out with murder.
Yeah.
Or not murder, but he goes out taking someone's life.
Like, that's
and he doesn't
murder.
learn the lesson that like, and you know, it's the exact opposite. I don't want to say that. That's a spoiler for that show. That just came out. Generally when you have someone want revenge and then get their revenge in storytelling, the lesson that they learn from that is generally that revenge doesn't solve your problems.
Yeah.
Because it's hollow. Revenge is always hollow.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is better than revenge.
Yeah.
And that is a story that we've been trying to tell as humanity for since the Bible, you know what I mean? Since the Book of the Dead from, you know, Egyptian faith. This idea that, like, it is better to get forgiveness or to give forgiveness than to give violence. Mm-hmm. This movie has Snake Eyes kill Kenta, and then he's like, I'm pure heart now.
Yeah, did it.
I can be a Joe now because I killed that guy in the snake pit with the giant snakes.
Yeah.
I just am like, that's not the lesson.
No.
You're not a good dude.
No, it's
he
awful.
Still murdered all those ninjas because you gave terrorists a nuclear sunstone.
Yep.
That the CGI for that just was not good.
Oh, but yeah, it was really awful. And then there were they had magic motorcycles which could literally do anything.
They also the sunstone I think this might be that I've worked in the entertainment industry for too long, but there were times where he would point the sunstone. There's one where what is her name? The leader of the Arashikage. Yeah. Do we have her name here? I don't know. But there's a moment where Kenta is facing her down in a hallway and he's using the sunstone, and the fire that comes up out of the ground is just very clearly like pyrotechnic fire.
Yeah.
And so there's a couple of moments where I was like, I have danced on stage with that machine.
Yeah.
And it just looked a little too like. So I just could picture the crew guy in behind being like, and flyer.
Yeah.
And it just goes. Psst.
Yeah, no, you could literally see it, and I noticed it too.
It looked a little. It just was sometimes it was bad CGI magic, and other times it was just weirdly
framed.
But the kind of fire that you would see at a dirt. What are the big truck derbies called? Monster truck rally, those kind of fire machines.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, oh, that doesn't look good.
Does not look good.
That's not it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I couldn't wait for this movie to be over.
That brings up the thing I talked about in the non-spoiler chat, where I'm so disappointed, is they set up that Kenta and Tommy are essentially our understanding of, if you're a G.I. Joe fan, like I am, it's the relationship between Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow, Tommy, is the flip with Storm Shadow and Kenta, right? Kenta and Storm Shadow were brought up together in the Arashikage, and instead of Storm Shadow being the one that's banished and them having this villain arch nemesis relationship, it is Storm Shadow that's still there, and he's the heir to be, and it is Kenta who has been banished. And there's a really interesting relationship between the two of them because of that. And so you want their big final fight. There's 2 fights in this where Tommy gets beat by Kenta. There's the first one on the dock, and then there's a second one on the street in Tokyo.
Yeah.
And then you want the big third fight. But instead they give Kenta the magic rock, and he has the magic rock, and so Tommy and Kenta's final interaction is this like tussle a little bit about a magic rock, but Tommy isn't the main combatant in that with Kenta, and so we don't get the rule of three moment where Tommy overcomes Kenta sword to sword, which would have been the fist pumping part of the movie, because Tommy is the only person you care about.
Yeah, like Snake Eyes, the best part.
Snake Eyes, like they just. This is it's such a bad interpretation of Snake Eyes, unfortunately. And I'm not saying that because he talks. Him talking was not the problem. It was that everything he said was him being a bad person.
Yeah.
But I wanted the final Tommy Kenta fight. I really did. Like that was the emotional relationship at this core of the movie that I really cared about. Was Tommy has all of this anger because he had to, banish his brother, and he's trying to find a replacement for that brother in Snake Eyes, but that brother's still out there. That brother's still gunning for him, and he has to fight him. And the final fight, they literally they push a cart of fireworks at Kenta, and that's how he gets taken out. Is just awful. And then Tommy, and you need the moment where Tommy uses the stone on him so that Tommy gets banished, so that he becomes a Storm Shadow.
But he doesn't even.
That's necessary for like the lore of G.I. Joe.
But he doesn't even use the stone on him.
I know, but he uses it at all, and that crosses the line. That crosses the line, 100%. I agree that crosses the line. But I wanted them to have an epic sword fight first.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because he lost the first two sword fights, and Tommy had to win the third sword fight. It's just how you do storytelling, and instead they cheapened Tommy's ability by having it be a sunstone moment thing. And
yeah, I don't know. I honestly thought that him using the stone in it in a kind of like a moment of weakness, but catching himself and not killing this dude with it. Like, I think that says more about his character. Like, that
but
lash
he has
out
to become evil. And this is the problem with this being a prequel.
It sucks.
I know. And it's that Tommy's character is so drastically affected by this
they have to really shoehorn it, and it doesn't make sense.
Shoehorn it in, because here's the thing. Andrew Koji is doing such a good job at that point that I loved him.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, Tommy has been so wronged. Tommy has been so hurt. He's been betrayed by, he really trusted Snake Eyes. Mm-hmm. And, that betrayal is crazy. And, he was just playing it so well. Even his big blow-up moment, even though I think it's, a little shoehorned in that he's, banished and, becomes Storm Shadow because of that moment. Yeah, his blow-up moment, his acting is so good. Yeah. If you're gonna see this movie, if you got to this point in the spoiler chat and you haven't seen it, if you're like, maybe I should watch it for Andrew Koji. He delivers a really incredible performance here.
Yeah.
And I personally think all the actors are great in this. I think the casting of this was really solid. I genuinely think it was just a base premise problem. It's not even that the writing of the script is all that bad. A lot of the scenes flow fine. It's that the outline is bad.
The premise, just the overall general.
It's a real base problem. The foundation of this is cracked, and there's really great furniture. There is great drywall. You know what I mean? The house on top. There's some stuff in there that I really like.
Okay, kind of, but not
I like Henry Golding. I think Henry Golding would be a great Snake Eyes in the G.I. Joe universe. I really do.
Sure. I think that they had good actors. I think that they had good actors for sure, and Andrew Koji really stands out. But
and
the
great.
Other
We never
parts...
talk about the set. The set design is really good.
Yeah,
and the
costume design was pretty good. The costumes looked pretty good. But if your script is bad, if your premise is bad, and your action is bad, and your action movie, we talked about it in the non-spoiler, but it has to go in here as well because it is terrible. It is shot poorly and edited together poorly. The action itself might have actually been pretty good, but we can't tell because we couldn't see it.
It was edited as if they were trying to hide the fact that the actors are bad at action.
Yeah,
but
it didn't
this cast is not.
No, they can do action, and it's
this cast is all action and stunts and you got the cast for the good action movie. Mm-hmm. You went out and you found the good action movie cast, and then you edited it as if you cast a bunch of people who didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And it's a shame. Mm-hmm. It's a shame to watch it. Because you're I think that was cool. I didn't see it.
It wasn't.
it's really something.
Yeah.
People also throw katanas a lot in this, and I'm like, I don't know if you can throw katanas like that.
Yeah, and Snake Eyes it magically learns how to use a katana in a day, and you're like, oh wow,
People can also jump really high.
Yeah. People are basically superheroes in this, and it's weird at sometimes.
There's
like
a
when
couple
the
of moments
grandmother
where,
flew like 10 feet.
where she jumps
like
she jumps a full she jumps over a building.
Yeah, I was like,
Everyone in this can leap small buildings in single bounds. To quote Superman.
Yeah, no, truly.
There's a moment. I think there's a moment where someone jumps up onto the roof of a building, and you're like, what? Yeah. But then they introduce magic, and I was like, I guess magic exists, so why not? Like.
Yeah, it's
What did you think about the anacondas? See, I hated it. I loved them because they're like cheesy B-movie stuff. But in terms of like that being the third challenge, I was like,
no, yeah, it was dumb.
I hate this so
much.
I
was like, okay, this is just another.
What does pure of heart mean? You're all murderer. You all kill people.
Yeah. And the snake.
But we do
just,
it for the ninja, so we're pure of heart because we kill people
honestly,
with good intentions.
All of the tests were garbage.
Yeah, none of them make any sense.
Yeah, they're like, oh, can I please have the water? Thank you. Is a test, and you're like, okay.
Well, because there's no training.
No.
Like Snake Eyes in this becomes a ninja by virtue of the plot needing him to be a better ninja than the last scene. Yeah. But, like, he literally never trains. Like, this is... If you were one of those people who was crapping on Rey for not having enough training in the sequel trilogy, I have a new movie for you to be upset about, and it is Snake Eyes. Please go be upset about it. Well, actually, don't, because you're... Oh, God. Those people are probably going to go racist with it, and I don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah. Don't need that.
Yeah, I don't need you to turn your sexism into racism. But this movie is legitimately like... why does he know how to do this?
Yeah. This movie... is bad.
It's bad.
Movie is bad. I did not enjoy it. I didn't. I wanted it to be over, like. And
it's long. Like, God, they could have easily cut 20 minutes out of this.
Yeah.
Easily cut 20 minutes out of this.
Yeah, and like the whole thing with like Akiko, how they used her character, I thought was like really shameful. Like, she's like, oh, this guy is suspicious. And then and she's right. And then he's like, tells like boo-hoo, my dad was killed. And she's like, oh, okay, like, I feel for you. And then...
Let me sacrifice my place in the clan to
save
your
let
life
me give up every single thing that I hold dear for a person I met like 24 hours ago who I didn't trust, like...
The 24 hours. We never talked about it. Oh my God.
Oh my God. The time...
Oh my God. This movie
has no concept of time.
So bad. I don't know if it's just because they didn't know it. Like, I don't know if it's because they didn't know when they were shooting things, what the order of the scenes, but the number of times this movie goes from day to night, back to day, back to night, in a single like beat.
Absurd. Like literally.
Oh my God.
Snake Eyes is like, all right, I'm stealing the jewel, and it's the middle of the day. Like, middle of the day, bright and sunny outside, goes and, like, disables some of the traps, comes down off the building, they go off, and he, like, starts walking towards the other building, and suddenly it's nighttime.
Yeah.
Like, not even, like, sunset. It is, like, the sun has already gone down, and then in, like, the very next scene, it is the middle of the night, like, pitch black. Like, and that happens, like,
well, and then, twice. So then he gets the jewel, it's the middle of the night. He drives to Tokyo, which is not that far.
No, because he went on his motorbike there twice.
Japan is not a very... Yeah, he goes there overnight, right? So he gets to Tokyo. It is the middle of the day.
Again.
He hands the sunstone over.
Yeah.
He goes in, meets the guy that tells him it's Cobra.
Yeah.
He follows Cobra... No, and then he, like, gets on his bike to chase down Cobra, and suddenly it is the middle of the night again.
Pitch black.
Then they fight Cobra for, like, a few hours, maybe a few hours, and then they get together in the hut. They put the sunstone back, and they get together in the main like room.
Yeah.
And it is the middle of the day again. And I'm like, what? We watched like maybe 5 hours of time pass, but we went through like 36 hours of sun cycle. It's wild.
Yeah.
It is just suddenly day, and you're like, wait, what's happening? Then it's suddenly night, and you're like, oh.
it's so jarring.
Was he on his motorcycle for 14 hours? Like, where did the day go?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like, well, Japan we want is so small.
And here's the thing. It's lazy because they wanted the fire action stuff to happen at night.
Yeah.
Here's your solution. Just keep it all in the same night that he gets the sunstone and never go to the day sequence. But it's the going to the day sequence that is like, yeah, have it all take place overnight. It's fine.
Been, like, that
it can happen in 12 hours. You can have the fight happen at dawn. Have it like be this overnight thing. You could make it really cool by having it be like this action-packed 12 hours like race to the finish of the movie. And instead it's like, and now it's daytime, and now it's nighttime, and now it's daytime, now it's nighttime again.
Daytime.
And it really is. We were just cackling.
Yeah.
The first time the magic stone was used, the first time he like uses it to burst the guy into fire, I literally guffawed into the theater. I was like, that is the funniest, dumbest thing you could have done with the stone. There are so many cool visual things you could have done. Having someone literally turn into a fireball.
It's not on the list of cool things.
It's just like, it's so magical and dumb after a movie of like, this is about the sword.
It's like Dungeons and Dragons dumb. Like...
Yeah. But like 1990s Dungeons and Dragons movie dumb.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a shame because I love these characters so much, and this is not it.
So sorry.
This is not it. This is a bad movie.
Yeah, it was rough. It was really rough.
This had an $88 million budget?
Yeah, I was looking at that.
That's a lot of money for how bad the CGI and action in this looked.
Yeah.
I guess it all went into the costumes, because the costumes legitimately looked great.
Yeah.
If they were to be like, Snake Eyes is going to get Oscar nomination for costume design, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. No, I'm serious.
Yeah.
Even just the like there are sequences that are just like in like Japan, and there's like some dance sequences in like a Japanese theater. There are some like traditional Japanese wear moments throughout the movie, and the costumes in all of the sequences are so stunning. Like, I genuinely think the costumes of this movie is one of the highlights, which I usually don't even talk about costumes. Like, it's not something I usually pick up on.
Yeah.
But in this movie, I was really, really impressed.
Yep.
Even like the Snake Eye suit, stuff like that fit the characters really well and looked like tactile and like action-y in a real way. Scarlet and Baroness, what they were wearing in the fight sequences was real fight shit.
Yeah,
it wasn't
like
Scarlet
armor.
was like cleavaged out and like, you know.
Yeah.
And, you know, Samara Weaving and Ursula Corbero, they're both beautiful women who they could have easily gone into the, like, very early G.I. Joe design of, like, we're going to make them super sexy. And they didn't. Yeah. They looked like they were there to do their fighting job. And, like, I really actually appreciate that. And Akiko, her action outfit was very traditional Japanese and, like, not sexualized at all. And I really appreciate that from this movie. G.I. Joe has a bad history in terms of how it dressed women. It just does. And like a lot of comic book properties and action, you know, superhero toy properties at the time, right? And I appreciated that this movie, especially in the costuming, not so much in how maybe the male characters treated the female characters, but in the costuming really like pushed the look of those characters into a modern era and gave them a visual aesthetic that I thought was actually really appropriate.
Yeah. The one last thing that I wanted to talk about, and we shouldn't spend too much time on it because we've been talking for
30 minutes.
Oopsie. Was just how the clan functioned. Like, we find out at the beginning.
Right.
We find out at the beginning that 8 out of 10 people fail this first test, and we're like, how many people get tested? How many people know about this?
Because there's so many ninjas who all have to be younger, right? Like, they can't all, to be of fighting age. And granted, the grandmother gets to be an action hero later, but
yeah, which is fun, but.
They make this big deal about not bringing in outsiders.
Yeah, we don't trust outsiders.
There's so many people here.
Yeah, and I'm like, where do all these people come from? You can't all be
incest babies.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
And also, Akiko is an outsider. The woman who's we don't trust outsiders.
British.
And also, the actor who plays the blind master, Peter Mensah, is an African American man, or I actually think he's British, but He's black.
He's a person of color.
He's very clearly not Japanese. And so there's this weird subplot where they're like, we don't trust outsiders. And I'm like, but so many of you are outsiders. What? Where did that guy come from?
Yeah. It makes no sense. They just contradict themselves with like every other beat.
Mm-hmm. They're also like super rich somehow, and I'm like, what is your industry? Like, what do you do?
What do you do? We don't know. They make magic bikes. I guess.
They do make magic bikes.
But yeah,
they're very motorcycle dependent.
Yeah, I just wanted to touch on that because I thought it was like really, because like that part of the like world and the story didn't even feel fleshed out because it didn't work. Like it just made no sense.
Yeah, the clan is very like it's magic.
It's magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might as well have gone and seen Harry Potter for all the realism in this, right? Like
yeah.
it's similar in that way of like, whatever.
Yeah, it's so fantastic.
Which isn't what I want from G.I. Joe. You know what I mean? I
feel like, and this is coming from like a not G.I. Joe person, but it needs to be grounded in reality.
It's better when it is.
Yeah.
That's what Retaliation did really well, in my opinion. Like, I liked that it was, like, a little bit more, like, you know, the big threat was, you know, a world-ending virus or whatever.
Yeah.
But
like, G.I. Joe to me sounds, like, gritty, down-to-earth, like, more, like, grungy, like...
Yeah, and maybe there were more magical elements of the cartoon that I don't remember, but, like, it's more to me, like, you know, boots on the ground kind of show.
Yeah.
It's more about, like, technical ability and, like, the gadgets and the...
Yeah.
You know, the guns and the helicopters. And, you know, for me, a lot of my love of G.I. Joe was the vehicles.
Yeah.
Like, I love those vehicle toys as a kid. Because it was, like, the closest I could get to Star Wars on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the, like, Millennium Falcon and, like, the, you know, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know. I don't love the more magical elements of stories like that. And they really didn't work here. Because they're not... Because this movie isn't magical until, like... And almost an hour in, and then it's so grounded. Like, all of the action is like swords and guns, and then there's just like, a magical vision light.
Yeah.
And then that's followed up by the magical snakes, and then there's a magical stone. And I was like, we're going down a weird road here where like suddenly everything is straight up magic.
Yeah,
and then
like,
the final fight is the big bad guy has a magic stone that they're like, that he can just light things on fire with his mind, and you're like, what? I just wanted sword fights. Like, what the fuck is this?
That's it for me. That I wanted to touch on that, but I
agree.
I don't like it. It was like a 2 out of 10 movie for me.
Yeah, I agree, and I love G.I. Joe, and so as a fan of the franchise, I'm really disappointed. I think that this is significantly worse than both Rise of Cobra and Retaliation. I would, you know, but I do like those movies. I did not like this movie at all. And it wasn't like Fast 9. We went and saw Fast 9 and like we liked it despite the fact that it's dumb.
Yeah,
it was fun to watch. This wasn't fun.
Yeah, because at least like there was just so much crazy outlandish stuff in Fast 9
and the action looked good.
Yeah, and it looked good. This is just I couldn't even like enjoy that.
Yeah, this was a swing and a miss.
Mhm. For sure.
I like really wonder how Robert Schwentz keeps getting jobs. Because, like...
Divergent is also not good.
Well, he also, like... He directed the one that, like, killed the franchise. They never finished Divergent. There's a whole missing movie, and he directed the last 2. And R.I.P.D. is not good.
No.
It didn't make money. He's directed a lot of financial flops.
Yeah.
Although it's been a few years. Like, honestly, Divergent was... He hasn't directed a movie in years. This must have been his, like... Alright, come back at it. He directed a really cool, like, indie movie called The Captain. So I feel like people were like, oh, The Captain was good. It's a little weird. It's about, like, Nazis and...
Okay.
So it's a little weird.
Alright.
I would have maybe given this one to an Asian director. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah. I
don't run Hollywood. And, you know, I think I shouldn't. Because they don't really need another white guy to run Hollywood.
Yeah.
I maybe that probably would have done a lot for the movie. It's just like bringing a Japanese director to really give it that like feel of, you know, Japanese culture a little bit more.
Yeah.
Oh, one last thing, truly final thing, I promise. The subtitle font is terrible.
Oh my god!
The subtitle font is the most like
it is
middle school clip art project.
It is literally when you would go into Microsoft Word and write a paper in grade 4.
Yeah.
And you would put a headline on it, and you would use the freaking word art that looked like so...
Whoever chose that font should be fired.
So
like,
bad.
You need to... I'm not saying that you should never work on movies again. You should just never work on subtitles again, because it was terrible.
Yeah, bad choice. It was like orangey yellow. I mean, if you're here, you probably watched it. But like, oh my god.
It's probably the worst subtitle font since like the first Fast and Furious movie. Do you remember when we watched that and there's like the weird subtitles?
No, I don't remember.
Oh, that's subtitles. Or maybe it's Fast 4 that has the weird subtitles. One of them has really bad subtitles for the Spanish that are like moving. It's, yeah. But yeah, God, the subtitles, and there aren't a lot of them. There should be way more Japanese in this movie than there is. It's there people are who would not speak to each other in English speak to each other in English a lot, and I'm like, just have them speak in Japanese. They clearly speak Japanese. It's a beautiful language. Just we will read subtitles.
Yeah, just not in that.
We all went and saw Parasite. I think we can just accept as Western culture that people will watch a movie, spend money on it, and read subtitles if the movie is good.
Yep.
Just choose a better font.
Please, for the love of God.
That's the last thing. If you like this video, like and subscribe. Please talk to us down below. I want to have a conversation about this movie. If you've seen it, hopefully not too many of you spent money on it. But if you watch this on a streaming service later for free, come back and talk to us about it then. This video will be long buried at that point, but who knows. If you don't like this video, hit the dislike button and leave me comments down below because the algorithm god is hungry and we must feed her. As always, you can follow us over on Twitch. I'm over at twitch.tv/nerdynightly.
I'm over at twitch.tv/ClarisTakaris.
And any last things?
Yeah, don't see this movie. That's it.
Or roll the dice, and if you get snake eyes.
Well, when they're loaded dice.
My name's Nerdy.
And I'm Clarus.
Do something nerdy tonight.
Bye.
Bye.